This is the Leave Your Legacy podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Leave Your Legacy podcast, episode 3. I'm your host, Chris Norris, alongside my co-host, RJ Messenger.
Yeah, buddy.
Man, we are excited. RJ, how you feeling?
Like shit?
Yeah, I was going to say, you had a rough day.
I don't know if I'm looking better than I feel or if I'm feeling better than I look. I don't want to be the judge of that.
Well,
I'll let our guest be the judge of that.
Podcasting is mostly consumed through audio, so no one will have to see your face. But yeah, you were down and out for a couple days, huh?
Yeah. I went to see my boy Posty on Monday, and it did me dirty.
Oh, man.
Something happened. I don't know.
Yikes.
Been struggling ever since.
Okay.
I think I drank too many Coronas.
Well, we're glad you're healthy, and because I was really excited about the show we've got planned for today, particularly the guest we have here. This is episode 3, and for I guess maybe folks that are just for the first time, they've heard about the podcast, they're just listening. The Leave Your Legacy podcast is really just all about talking to people who care a lot about their legacy and how they want to be remembered, and not so much worrying about everything that's happening today, but what's going to happen tomorrow. And our guest today, he was for a period of his life really concerned day to day because things were really uncertain for him. Our guest is Aubrey Reese, and he has a fantastic story. I don't want to share too much because I want him to do that. But basically, Aubrey, he cheated death, to be quite honest, and he is a very diverse individual with an array of skills, the best way I could put it. And I just met him about 15 minutes ago. So I read up on him, and I'm excited to learn more about him. RJ, how do you know Aubrey?
Man, we go way back, right when I first started Iron Empire.
Okay.
Selling the shirts right out of my house. Just launched a web store, and he worked out at Real Fitness at the time, and I was going there. And I can't remember if you stopped me or I said something to you about the shirts. It was like our first set. You were one of our first customers.
It was fate.
I don't know.
It just magically.
It just happened.
Magically, I was looking
You just
at your
made
phone.
eye contact with me from across the gym,
That's
and I was
right.
like, this motherfucker wants some of our shirts.
That's right.
I'm going to go up and I'm going to sell them to him.
That's right.
And 2 days later, I brought 2 shirts in with him. They were in like a little cheap Giant Eagle plastic bag.
Yeah.
Said, here you go. You owe me $40.
Yeah, I know, right?
And next thing you know, he owns every shirt of ours right now.
That's awesome.
You've done like, not modeling, but we've used your pictures before in our shirts.
Yeah. We've been involved with Iron Empire for a while.
The crazy thing is that was 5 years or so now when I first started a clothing line, and I couldn't believe it because I've known him for years now, but I didn't actually know about your story up until maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like, because he doesn't talk about it.
Sure.
and nothing against anyone who goes through serious health complications, whatever it is, but a lot of people are very vocal and active on social media about it.
Sure.
Whether it's to promote positivity for it or whatever it is. But this freaking guy, like, nobody knew it. I had no idea. And I'm not going to get into detail what it is. Like you said, we'll let him do it. But that's what intrigued me even more. I'm like, this dude's the real fucking deal. Like, he cheated death, and he just lives day to day. Like, he don't care. He doesn't want to talk to you. Doesn't want pity from people. And I knew from then on out that our relationship was going to be, the bond was going to be strong, brother.
Wow.
Thanks,
well, Aubrey,
man.
we're happy to have you here, man.
Thank
you. You are an artist, a pharmacist, and an arm wrestler.
Among other things.
Newfound artist.
Wow.
We'll
dude,
get into that later, too.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. Aubrey, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
I'm so
Appreciate
glad
it.
you're here. Tell us a little bit about your backstory. Obviously, we know how you know RJ now, but I guess start off by what drew you to his brand. I'm just curious. I always like to hear people's perception of Iron Empire.
Well, I mean, I had a choice of 2 shirts, and that's all he had, period.
Yeah,
on
that's
his
right.
phone. And I like the logo. Okay, I mean, that's real basic, but I liked the logo. I liked that it was RJ, even though I didn't know him at all. I just liked that it was a local guy at my gym trying to sell T-shirts. I love T-shirts. That's just one of my little things. I just love, like some ladies love shoes. I love T-shirts. All right. And so I appreciated the fact that you could tell that he was going out and doing this. He was going out on a limb, and that was the beginning. I don't know, maybe I sensed it, but I liked the saying. I remember it was "Born a Slave, Die a King" was one of the shirts.
Oh, man.
And the
that
other
was
one
one
was
of the
just the logo.
original-
Yeah, right.
Man.
And so I don't know, I connected with that a little bit, and I could just tell that this dude was trying to do something different with his life. And that's all, it was just like I felt it. So that's how we connected, even though I saw him in the gym for 2 years and I thought he was an ex-con and I was scared of him. But
I mean, you weren't.
But
I
was always a little bit bigger, so I wasn't that scared of him. So you know what I mean. But I didn't talk to him. But I'm just kidding with you, RJ.
Oh man.
So
cool.
That's how we met and all that. So a little bit about me. Just grew up here in Cambridge Springs. That's local. Born in Virginia, which is random, but grew up in Cambridge Springs. Just a normal, I guess, country boy, if you will. I guess, even though I was a skater.
It all makes sense now.
Snowboarder. You know what? I wasn't really a country boy.
You got to watch out for that.
Yeah,
man.
you never know. So, grew up doing the normal thing. Started out college as an art major, but not, I'm doing art now, but I wasn't doing art. And, when you start college, you're taking the intro classes, the English classes.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of art history classes, but I kind of just dirtled when I started college. And eventually I was like, I got to probably get a job in life. So my lack of motivation to really look into a career, I'll admit that openly, I decided that, you know what, I guess I'll just be a pharmacist. I shouldn't even say this publicly, but I didn't even know what pharmacists did. Okay. And then
sounded cool.
No.
Yeah.
I took a biology class. It was really easy. I aced it. I took a chemistry class. It was really easy. I aced it. I'm like, what combines those two things? I'm like, pharmacy. I had no idea how much, their salaries. I just knew that if you were a pharmacist, you could get a job. Sure. So that's why I went into pharmacy. Okay. It wasn't like this undying passion to dispense medications to people. And, well, I won't go into that. But anyway, so that was kind of like my college path. So, I ended up going to college for 9.5 years. Wow. And, not real proud of that, but I don't really regret it either. I got to see a lot, and I'd go to college my whole life if I had a choice.
Right.
So, but eventually I graduated pharmacy school in 2008, started work as a pharmacist, and then, just kind of started grinding that for a little bit, thinking being the normal American, bought myself a car when I graduated pharmacy school, kind of, just worked for stuff. I was still living in a townhouse, working on my student loans and whatnot. Just doing what we're kind of taught to do in America. I hate to say that, but you graduate school, you start working, you start building the family.
And you work to pay off your debt from going to school.
Right. Then you work 50 years, and then you retire, and then you live for 5 years, and you die. So that was where I was at when I was 28, 29. So
that's the dream.
Yeah, so 2010, though, that was an interesting year. That's where this health stuff came up. So I don't know if you want me to go into it now, but
yeah, let's talk about
ready.
it.
So I want to cut you off for a second.
Yeah.
He's a genius. Mm-hmm. I learned this a couple years ago. If you remember, you, me, and Big Lenny, when we were up at the casino.
Yeah.
This dude's double fisting pounders over here. And I've learned how smart he actually was.
Is he like counting cards or whatever?
Is it
I did teach myself how to count cards once, but
I believe it.
Wow.
It didn't help.
Is it percentages? Is that what it is? Or
yeah, don't throw it at me right now.
I want to.
Don't.
I want to.
Don't. It's been I can't do it.
Throw a percentage question at him. What is it? What's like 13% of 180?
Oh man, come on. 180?
Oh.
13%? That's what, 23.4?
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know if that's right, but
I
don't know if it's right either. I was on the spot.
You could get us to believe you because math is not my jam at all. Wow, so math guy, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that might be wrong.
Okay.
Someone right now is listening to this podcast.
This is
doing
bullshit.
it.
They just turned it off.
They're
like,
literally
this
turning
guy.
it off. He's a fake.
He's a
Yeah,
fake.
I don't know.
No,
But
man,
I
it's
couldn't
all
believe
good.
it.
That's cool.
So
I'm not a genius, but thanks.
this health scare happens.
Yeah,
that was in
okay.
2010.
10, yep. So
How old were you at that point?
29. I was
Oh my
29.
gosh.
Yeah, so I graduated school in 2008. So I had only been working as a pharmacist for, 08 and then all of 09 and then half of 10 and then everything started happening. So maybe 2 years, really.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been out of school very long. I didn't even own a house. Just it was still, but so what happened was, I guess let's just start off here. So I was diagnosed with lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2B. So I had multiple tumors in my chest. It was the fact that it was stage 2 means it was all still within my chest cavity, though. There were just multiple tumors. The B means I had symptoms, and that's what I'll kind of talk about here for a second, how it kind of came about. Because one of the main questions I ever got when people find out I had cancer is like, well, how did you know? What happened? So I starting kind of in spring of 2010, I had this small tickle, this cough. You don't think anything of it, right? When spring, air conditioners are starting to come on, I'm working a lot. it just wasn't bad. It wasn't coughing my brains out or anything. It was just this tickle, but it was always there. And then in the summer, I started losing weight a little bit, but it was gradual. You don't really notice it, because I didn't have any health problems. I wasn't going to the doctor. I just thought, I quit eating donuts because I was addicted to donuts back then. I loved freaking donuts.
And were you into physical fitness back then?
And I was
now?
Exactly.
So you were in great shape, living a healthy lifestyle.
I've been lifting weights since I was 20.
17 Miller Lights a day. Yep.
Nope.
Yep. No, not at the
not
time.
then.
Okay.
Not then.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't drink alcohol then. Believe it or not.
There we go. Even better.
Yeah. So I was lifting a lot. So I started losing weight and stuff. And my patients coming into the pharmacy were saying, you feeling okay? You sick? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just tired and been working a lot. And then this one older lady came in and she said, are you okay? You look sick. And I was like, I'm sick and tired of people saying this. I'm going to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. He's like, all right, we'll get a chest x-ray. It's probably post-nasal drip. He's like, I don't see why anything would be wrong here. He's got some blood work. So the day after he ordered an x-ray, I went, drove into Erie. I wasn't even thinking anything about it. I went in, got the x-ray, went home. Like 2 hours later, I get this frantic phone call from the doctor, looking for me. And I knew when the doctor was calling me just 2 hours after a chest x-ray, since I work in healthcare, I kind of know how that works. If nothing's wrong, you don't hear from a doctor ever.
Right.
Yeah, so I knew that the doctor themselves, calling me, I knew something was wrong. So I answered that phone and they said, there's a huge mass on your chest x-ray. So it was that moment. And I remember everything just spiraled in my mind because I'm not a physician, okay? I can't diagnose stuff, but I had a pretty good idea of what the possibilities were, and they were all really shitty possibilities. Okay, tuberculosis, cancer, some crazy lung infection. I was praying for a crazy infection, because I knew otherwise it was probably cancer. So I go through all these biopsies, all these crazy tests, a couple months, because they're trying to figure out what this is. They can't find it, et cetera. Eventually, they found it on December 3rd, 2010, after cutting me open and cutting it up and doing all the stuff they do. So it was the Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they said, okay, here we go, chemo time. Boom.
And you're not even 30 yet.
No.
Right?
Well, no, because I turned 30 in May. So this is when I was 29. And my first chemo, so I was going to get 6 months of chemo. There's 4 chemo drugs. I won't go into all that. No one cares who's listening. But one damages the heart, one damages the nervous system, one damages the lungs, and the other one just damages everything. I remember that last bad boy, who always made me sick. But so, yeah, that was fun. So I've had a little organ damage going on there. Yeah, so this is I don't want to make this last too long here. I don't want to, I could live. There's just
so you go through the chemo.
All right, so I went through the chemo. 3 months into the chemo, they take a scan to make sure the chemo's working. It's working great. The tumors have shrunk. I'm like, fantastic. Except the one drug's giving you lung toxicity. We have to stop it.
Jesus.
And they're like, your lungs are literally being destroyed. We have to stop the chemo. And I'm like, well, that blows, but I'm glad it's working. That's great. Okay, so that we finish out the other 3 months without that one chemo drug, but it was still the other 3. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling beat the hell because I'm in chemo. But spirit-wise, I'm like, all right,
got this.
6 months of chemo down. I did this.
Yep.
I said last scan was improving. They take the scan. There's still a spot. And they're like, oh, shit. And I'm like, shit. Even the oncologists were like, shit.
Everyone's like, shit.
Because that cancer is like a 90% cure rate. So if this initial chemo doesn't work, everyone that's one of those things that we don't know what to do exactly here. So they sent me up to Roswell Park in Buffalo to this world-renowned oncologist. We went through the thing, and he decided let's throw some really high-dose stuff at you. We have to stay in the hospital for 3 days and get it. Okay. So he did that, threw that at me. He threw 2 of them at me, and then we get a scan. Got the scan, didn't work. Okay, we're going to try a whole different regimen, another high-dose inpatient thing. Okay, different drugs, but another hardcore thing. He gave me just one. They gave me one thing. Okay. And then quote, you can't see this on a podcast, but I'm doing the quote finger thing. I don't know what the hell to call that.
Air quotes.
You got it, air quotes.
So yeah, air quote. So that third high-dose chemo, quote, worked per the radiology report. So he's like, okay, great. It worked. Let's give you another one. And at this point, my body is toast. I have no hair.
How much did you weigh at this time?
Let me see. So at this time, I was probably about, I floated around 160, 165.
From
I mean,
normal?
I was 185
Wow.
when all this kind of
Yeah.
started, you know. So I was down.
I remember seeing a picture of you. I didn't recognize you.
Yeah.
When-
I was down in the 140s. It was.
Yeah, when you told me about this and you showed me, I'm like, that's not you.
Yeah, it's freaky almost. Yeah. Wow. So, but at that point, my blood counts were shot. I mean, I had no immune system. I had no platelets. I couldn't clot. I mean, basically, I was on kind of the brink of death there. And they're like, okay, and we know you're completely treated and you're destroyed, but this is our chance. We found one that works. We're going to give you one more. Just hang on, basically.
Yeah.
So I was chock full of chemo. When I would get my chemo, I would ask for my blood work, right? I would print, a nurse would bring it out. I would read my CBC, my BMP, make sure my kidneys weren't shutting down and shit. You know, just be my own healthcare advocate, because why not? They made me learn that stuff in school, so why not read my numbers? So the nurse walked in a report to me, and she accidentally printed the radiology findings from the previous chemo. The radiologist had fucked up. He had gotten it backwards.
My God.
So the cancer had grown through the first, well, not the first one, but the first of the second batch. And they had just chocked me full of this stuff. And they almost didn't want to, because I was so, my body couldn't handle any more chemo. And I'm sitting there, I'm not kidding you, it was the morning I was going to be released home, reading this radiology report saying, you guys just filled me up with chemo that's not working. And I remember they rushed in there. And it was like the practitioners had seen a ghost, right? I mean, you know, you could just see like, oh, sweet Jesus, we done messed up. I mean, bad.
What's going through your head right now?
My head was just like, I mean, it was almost surreal, right? It was like, honestly, it was kind of like, you got to be shitting me. Like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
And I got to deal with all this extra stuff. And the normal stuff's going through my head. Like, I'm going to die. I might die
course.
here. I was never, I'm going to die. I was just like, I might die. And this, I knew the chances were very high because I had no blood counts. I mean, everything was
Jesus
shot.
Christ.
So I knew that I had to get through this. So that actually kind of, in a positive manner, looking at it in a positive manner, that doctor focused in on my care like I was like his son.
Sure.
Because he knew that he had messed up so bad. You know, and as a result of that chemo, I had to go down to the ER here and get blood transfusions. I took off my shirt to go to bed one night and I was bleeding out and I saw it across my chest.
God.
That's how I knew. I went to the ER and they said, your platelet count's one. So normal is 150 to 400 or so in a normal individual. Platelets are what helps people clot. Okay. So if you're below 10, you're at chance of a spontaneous brain bleed. Okay. And so I went to the ER. They said, your platelet count's one. The ER physician said, I've only ever seen this one other time in my life. They said, in our lab value doesn't show 0. 1 is as low as it goes. So I had no ability to clot whatsoever. So I'm glad I didn't die that night. That was cool. So they gave me some platelets, sent me home. Well, they didn't really send me home. They gave me some platelets and watched me for a while. But got some platelets, some blood transfusions, got my numbers back up a little bit, worked through that last dose of chemo, and then we recalibrated.
So can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, I'm talking
before you
too
go.
much
No,
here,
because there's lots more to the story.
Right.
So when you said you always said it's not when I might die, it's if I might die. Because you always believed you were going to get through this.
Oh, hell yeah.
But was there ever a point when you started to kind of have some conversations in your head like, okay, like my bucket list or what do I like? Did you ever have a moment where you actually did think like, I don't know if, and I'm only 30, I have so many things I want to do. Was there like a moment when you actually did convince yourself that your life might be on borrowed time?
You know, this is going to sound weird, but not in that sense.
Wow.
I didn't consider it was my time. But I mean, logistically, obviously, I'm thinking ahead a little bit, you know, like that, like, if I were to pass, wills and that kind of stuff, like the left brain logical stuff. But in terms of the bucket list, I never believed that I was going to die. I just didn't. And I can't explain it exactly. I don't know. I just kept stepping forward. I mean, no matter what, I just kept taking another step.
Let me ask you this, for you, since you've gone through it,
so
big time, is a lot of people say too, and a lot of getting through cancer and chemo is mental. Your mental attitude about the situation.
100%.
Do you think if from the beginning you would have said to yourself in your head, this is it, I'm done, I'm not going to make it through this, do you think you would have still made it through like you did or no?
Nope. Nope.
Especially after the gut punch of the wrong results.
Oh, man.
Then I would have been like, okay,
yeah,
maybe this is just meant to be. I'm not supposed to be alive.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not with this guy. Fuck that attitude.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I think in terms of survival with cancer, I mean, this is nothing that will ever be scientifically. Well, maybe there are some studies or something, but I think it's your mindset. It really is. I mean, if you go in thinking, "Oh, it's got me. I'm going down," you're gonna go down. You're gonna go down. I went into chemo being like, I know it can make me sick, but I'm not going to think it's going to.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm sure it could have made me way more sick, but I mean, it did make me sick, but it could have been way worse. But it was almost that, I don't know, I just refused to admit that it was going to be a certain way. And instead, I just sort of said, I'm scared for sure. I know it's possible, but I'm not going to think it's going to be this way. And I just kind of waited to see what would happen.
Incredible.
And, wow. I guess maybe that little bit of change in the way you look at something can really, it's life and death in this situation.
Wow. Okay, so
yeah.
keep walking us through this process.
Yeah, okay.
I'm hoping things are going to start.
We're almost at the end, right?
Yeah.
No, we're about halfway.
Oh shit. Okay.
No, there's still
we'll tune in next week.
We should make it a 2-part series.
I'm sorry.
Now that you got people on the edge of their seats,
I'll speed it up.
No,
you're
man.
good.
All right. So let's just say I got all this crazy high dose crap out of my system. Okay, doctor's like, okay, we're going to recalibrate. We're going to try this. New drug was approved just in August, and so we're talking this is December now. Okay, so just 4 months later. He said this new drug was just approved. We have to check to make sure you got the receptors on your cells for this drug. It's $50,000 a bag. All right, and it was only 50 milliliters, so that's 3 tablespoons, a little over 3 tablespoons. All right, so it was this little teeny bag. It was $50,000 a pop. So I got 4 of those. They took a scan. They said, your cancer's gone. And I'm like, hallelujah, they found the right thing, all right, this brand new drug. I'm like, oh, that was such a relief. I'm like, oh, thank God, They're like, the doctor said, all right, we're going to give you some more of this, obviously, and we'll get another scan. So they gave me some more of it, got another scan, cancer's back. I'm like, you got to be absolutely shitting me. I know. I'm like, man. I'm like, come on, life. Stop throwing me these curveballs just for a little bit.
Curveballs. That's all there is. Just some curveballs.
I appreciate the baseball reference there, but man, that's like getting a beamed in the head like 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a swift life kick right to the nards, pretty much, So the doctor said, he wasn't expecting this at all. He had no idea what to do. He's like, well, let's add on this other chemo agent on top of this other stuff, see if the combo does something. It didn't do anything. It didn't grow. It didn't go away. It just didn't do anything. At this point, we're starting to get into the spring now, 2012. He knew I couldn't handle much more. I remember I went in there after that scan didn't work out. He said, we're done. High dose radiation time. That's it. He was avoiding it because when you get radiation, it screws up all the vasculature, the blood flow to the area. He knew that he couldn't do a lot of chemo after radiation. Not that there's much left I think I can get, but so high dose radiation. And honestly, I was a little scared that basically we had exhausted the chemo options, but at the same time I was sort of relieved because I was so tired of getting chemo. Okay. So high dose radiation, I was like, man, this is going to be a walk in the park. And it was. My hair came back. I just had to drive to Buffalo from Erie every single morning and back. And it was like, 4 minutes. It hurt. It burned my skin, burned the hell out of my skin and everything. But that was a walk in the park, even though the damage it did was substantial. I remember the radiologist told me, you have a 100% chance of having coronary artery disease in the area we radiate, which is my entire chest and back. So I get to look forward to that. So should have brought me some more of that Wendy's, RJ. That's a poor joke. My apologies. So high dose radiation, the plan was high dose radiation into a bone marrow transplant. So radiate, blast that spot that is just not going away, and then you get a bone marrow transplant. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the path that happened there. The bone marrow transplant is literally an entire story in and of itself. So I will save you guys right now for the moment. But in a really brief summary, that is 6 days, I think it was 6 days, 7 days of nonstop chemo. As much chemo as you can get because it destroys your bone marrow. That's the point of the chemo. Right. You're not just wiping out cancer. You're literally killing your bone marrow, all of it. Okay, so they destroy your bone marrow. You're in an isolation ward. And they wait 10 days for all the chemo to leave. So you're a sitting duck. You have no bone marrow. You have no you have nothing. That's why you're stuck in this ward. And then they put some stem cells back in you and they find their way magically to the bone marrow and, hopefully regrow a whole new immune system, because lymphoma is the cancer of the immune system. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of what they're targeting there. So it was successful because here I am.
Yeah.
It was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life, though. There are stories within there that are just unbelievable. Not unbelievable to the world per se, but to the just stuff that happened there it was surreal. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to push through. That bone marrow transplant was 5 times harder than all the other chemo combined.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I remember this. I was stuck in that ward, the unit for 22 days, I think, which I was pissed because I think the fastest a guy had ever done it was 20 days. And I was trying to break his record. I was trying to break the all-time record of getting out of there.
Sounds like you.
Yeah. So, I walked out on day 22, I believe. And I remember, and this is kind of what drives me now. This is kind of my legacy, mover, kind of the whole fuel for the way I live my life now. Is I walked out of that stem cell transplant unit right out of the hospital, and I felt real air hit my face, and the sun was out, and the sun hit my face, and I had all these smells, and this is smells that we all smell normally. We don't even catch all this. I mean, I started crying.
Your senses, yeah.
I started crying, not like bawling like I'm watching Titanic, you know what I mean, something like that, but like just tears were just streaming down my cheeks because I was just experiencing air and sunlight, and I knew I will never go back. I will never do this again. And not being, I wasn't being a stubborn man because of that. I was saying, I'm done. I beat it. It's over. Mentally, I'm like, I'm done with this shit. I'm never going back. And I haven't.
Good for you.
Here I am.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me ask you, who was with you through all this? What was getting you through? Surely as a 30-year-old man, you weren't doing this alone. Were you are you able to talk a little bit about how you got through it? Because you couldn't have done this alone, could you?
No, I mean, I didn't do it alone,
Yeah.
Of course. I had a lot of support from the community where I was working.
Good, yeah.
But really the main supporters were my family and my wife at the time. They're my main supporters. They're my mom and my wife at the time were by my side the whole time, kind of working with me through it and everything.
That had to have been hard for them to watch.
Oh, it was probably harder on them than me.
It
was more straightforward for me. They tell me, yes, I might die, but I just go to the appointment and I sit there. Their psychology, my mom and her son, et cetera, that type of thing. So those are my main supporters in person. But to be honest with you, I took on a lot alone because I didn't want to put it on anybody. I remember I drove to chemos alone, which is kind of crazy. And I don't know if the cancer center would approve that because I told them I got a ride. I lied to them. I just didn't want anyone to have to worry about it. I would go and get chemo and go home alone. I drove to radiation alone. I think mostly every day except for the first few days when, I was figuring the place out. I tried to leave everyone out of it. And I felt like I was able to process better when there weren't distractions and whatnot. I could focus in, because when you're getting chemo, you don't feel like talking to anybody.
Sure.
It's miserable, So, but then you have the whole community. When I was in my stem cell transplant, I started a blog, and this is random. I'm not a blogger. All right. I'm not an online blogger. I'd never blogged. I didn't even know how the hell to start a blog, but I started it just to communicate in mass. I couldn't message everyone. So I started a blog, and this thing gained traction. I would basically sit down and just write, hey guys, here's the update for the day. Here's what's going on. Here's how I'm feeling. And I think into my second week, I think I was up to 17,000 views, a day. And I was sharing on Facebook, and it was really spreading. And I had a transplant unit in Florida reach out to me saying, your information is great. Because I was kind of saying how it is, what it's like. Because when I went in for the information for the transplant, they give you a little packet. They say, the real general boring crap that it's clear, you can't eat fresh fruit and vegetables and stuff like this. You're like, what are you talking about, right? And in that packet it said, chance of death, 1 in 20 patients will die from this. So you're 5% chance of dying. Imagine if you could win the Powerball. 5% chance of winning the Powerball. You'd be buying lots of tickets.
That's right.
So, so this blog really, I was really trying to help. It started out as me just communicating, but then I started thinking man, maybe this is helping people. But when I start, I didn't have any information about stem cells. You go and Google it. You can't find anything on what it's actually going to be like. I had to twist someone's arm just to find out if I was going to have Wi-Fi or not, because I was going to be stuck in this room, So, so anyway, that my journey gained some traction there. I called it my Buffalo vacation, I don't know how we got off on this tangent here, but I guess my point is that community, that support, that really kind of poured back in as a result of that. And it was not my intention whatsoever. So there was just a ton of support there. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay.
Cancer free for how long?
Since the day I walked out of that transplant unit. So that was July 2012.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're good to go.
So we're at the end of it. What happens next? I mean, you just go back to normal life.
Oh yeah, right, man. There's no normal life past that.
So I mean, what did you do? You go back working with what, pharmacy?
Well, yeah, I kind of had to.
Pick back up from there?
I shouldn't. And listen, I shouldn't. I know this is Leave Your Legacy, Live Your Dreams podcast, but I mean,
we'll get to that point.
Yeah. Good, because that's what matters here.
Right.
Right.
This is the boring Aubrey.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So
that's fine. You want to arm wrestle about that right here? No one can see it.
I don't
want to
embarrass you.
No one will see it if you lose, RJ. All right. So no, life's never normal past that. Oh man, I remember, and I'm literally, it's still just hot in my mind to this day. I will never ever not do something that I want to do. Like not in a selfish way, not something stupid like I'm going to go drive my car down 12th Street at 90 miles per hour or something like that. But like if there is something I want to try, a dream I want to chase, I'm going to try and do it. And I refuse to let anybody tell me otherwise. And that's within reason, of course, with lawful respect for your loved ones and whatnot and humanity. But yes, I've tried all this new stuff since then. I can't seem to stop. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. So arm
wrestling. When did you get into arm wrestling?
2014. Yeah, that was random.
Yeah. And you've done pretty decent, right?
I'm a terrible arm wrestler.
I didn't want to say that, but I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible at arm wrestling.
You've won some awards and competitions and stuff.
I won nationals.
So he's all right, I guess.
Humble.
Yeah, I mean, it's arm wrestling, so it's kind of underground. It's a great sport. I love arm wrestling. It's fun.
It's fun,
It's
right?
mano y mano.
It's fun to watch you.
Yeah. Well, I've heard some good and bad things about what I'm like on the table. So
was arm wrestling one of those things, though, that after you went through all this, you were like, you know what the heck?
Well, I mean, I've lifted my whole life, right? I love training. I always loved training forms and stuff. And I was like, the Game of Arms show came up, which we all know about, in Erie. That show came on, and I'm like, Erie's got an arm wrestling team? I'm like, there's arm wrestling in Erie? I'm like, I want to try it.
Yeah.
So the way I manifested that was, and maybe some of my arm wrestling teammates might hear this and might give me some crap for it, but
oh well.
No, I don't care. That's fine. This is cool because this kind of plays into manifestation and stuff. I knew I wanted to arm wrestle. I'd never, ever arm wrestled in my life. Literally, ever. Okay? I didn't know a single person on the team. I didn't know any arm wrestler. I knew absolutely no way I was going to go about this. So I went. Obviously, I just read about it a little bit, which doesn't help at all. I can just tell you that. I ordered an arm wrestling table. I took bands to the gym. I started training for arm wrestling. And I didn't know anybody. Okay? And this is how life works. I was doing some weird arm wrestling exercise. I don't even know if I knew what I was doing, but I thought I was doing something for it. And a guy who was on the arm wrestling team walked into the gym. Not even on the regular, too. Yeah. I didn't even know he was an arm wrestler. He said he walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, you arm wrestle?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Of course I do.
Can't you tell?
I'm like, "Yeah, I arm wrestle." He's like, "Why don't you come to the practice?" I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Just let me know where it's at."
Nice.
So I basically bluffed. All right.
Yeah.
I bluffed.
Who was it?
It was Daryl. Daryl Bateman.
Oh, yeah.
You remember him?
Yes, I do.
Yep. Because he was never in the gym.
Yeah.
I like Daryl, good guy, but I never saw him in the gym, and he came in once, and he saw me do this
Just meant
stuff.
to happen, yeah.
Yeah, it was weird, So that was interesting. So that was pure manifestation there. I knew I wanted to do it, so I ordered the arm wrestling table. I started training for it, even though I'd never done it and didn't know how I was going to get into it. Didn't even know where it existed, and boy, that's how the universe works.
That is.
Send someone your way when you want, you direct your energy towards it. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So pharmacy, arm wrestling, and now latest kind of thing that you're kind of good at.
This is absolutely insane.
Oh my gosh, man, you're super
and I wish
talented.
you can only talk about this so much without actually seeing it.
We're
with your
definitely
2
linking
eyes.
to his Instagram
100%.
for sure. People have got to see what you're working on. Tell us about that.
All right. Well, this this has just kind of happened. I mean, I used to, draw, like doodle and make some drawings, and when in high school and stuff, I was kind of the art guy in high school, but what's that really amount to in life? But once I started getting into pharmacy and stuff in the early 2000s, I didn't really do any art at all. So in 2018, I helped someone with the mural, the chalk walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, that's cool, dude.
Yeah.
Doing chalk walk, that's cool. I want to try and do a chalk walk. She's like, okay, why don't you help me with my mural? And I'm like, cool. So I helped her. We got first. So everyone's like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. I really enjoyed that. And it looked cool. I'm like, oh, it was cool. I like the chalk. I like doing the street chalk and stuff. Okay. So for Christmas, I received, some real street chalk, and that was it. So I let it sit, like you do with Christmas presents that people buy you, until July of this summer. And I went out my driveway, and I'm like, all right, just try and chalk something. All right. I was kind of looking at it and stuff online. I'm like, just go out there and try it. So I went out there and did it. I chalked this eyeball, and I'm like, it only took me like an hour, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, that's not bad. and I don't just say that, I say it with humbleness, but like I never thought it was going to come out like that,
Maybe it was the chalk. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah. Let's do this again.
Well, that's how it started though, So in July I was like, this is cool. So then I started pushing. I'm like, I made myself go out there. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just chalk some more. And I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, I'm just gonna do a leaf with some water drops. I was just studying. I had no clue what I was doing, trying to learn the medium. I just had no clue what I was doing. And then we've all seen these 3D chalk things, right?
Yeah, they're
probably
cool.
online. They're cool. And I'm like, I wonder how you do those. I'm real curious how you do those. So I researched it, kind of looked up how to do it, and I tried it, and I did this butterfly. And I remember when I did the butterfly, so I still hadn't really, this was maybe August or so, I don't even remember. I'd only been chalking for like a month or so, right? I had no clue how to set this up, the perspective. I was just making it up as I went. I was drinking my Miller Lights in my driveway. It was the evening. I got done with it. I'm like, damn, that looks 3D, and I put it online. I still wasn't thinking, I was just thought it was cool, right? And I put it online, and everyone was just like, holy crap, this is, I still don't feel like it was that great, but everyone thought, and at that point I realized I got to start pushing this a little bit.
Yeah.
Like maybe there is something here.
Sure.
So I just kept doing chalk, I did the Celebrate Erie chalk walk, and I just did that and just experimented, and that was fun, but it's chalk. It washes away after it rains, it's done. And I knew that winter was coming. I wasn't going to be able to chalk anymore. And I was like, I'm going to try and draw really realistically. So I started researching that a little bit. And they call it hyperrealism. That's the photorealism. That's kind of the art term for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what, charcoal? Is that what you use?
Yeah, it's charcoal. It's charcoal. You can use anything to do hyperrealism, but that's what I'm started with. Yeah. So
yeah, and this is hyper real.
So,
insane.
we're looking at the eyeball. That's my first drawing that I completed. That's the second drawing I worked on. My first drawing was an Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein, yeah.
Yeah, and that one, I stopped it right in the middle and I said, this is not detailed enough. I'm not even going to finish it. Like I learned how to, I didn't learn, but I guess I taught, this is all self-taught, I saw the mistakes I made. I said, all right, let's move on to a new one, knowing what I know now. Because, my first drawing I spent maybe 50, 60 hours on.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's start a new one and try a little harder to make it better. So that one came out all right, the eyeball. Yeah.
It's cool. I love the caption too. This is like the cliff notes of your whole story you've told us. I suppose I learned that I can draw right in the last 3 months of 2019. Definitely an interesting year. # find your path. # never give up. # live your life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it though.
Wow.
So
in a sense, and I can see this if this is the case, in a sense, with drawing and the focus and canceling everything out around you, is it almost a sense of therapy maybe?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Since I started art back up, it was like this long lost part of me.
Yeah.
It's been activated. I feel balanced. I feel more emotionally stable, I guess in a sense.
What music do you listen to while you do it? Do you listen to music or do you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It varies.
Michael Myers theme song?
Only if it comes up on the playlist.
Only about 10 Miller Lights in?
No.
No, okay.
No. Sometimes.
What do you listen to?
All right, it's usually Meek Mill.
Okay,
in that genre.
While you draw?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I love doing that when I was chalking too. I always had my Beats headphones on.
Yep.
I always get some punk in there, No Effects. Okay, so
nice.
that genre.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, that's my favorite band of all time, No Effects.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll do like some all right, this is gonna be embarrassing here. Like Stranger Things, like theme track, right?
Ooh,
that's all right.
Right, so I get like this like ambiance, right?
Yeah.
Because I get real down into like the energy. I get my lighting all weird, and I got my big architect light, and it's like I get into this weird zone. This,
Yeah.
like
You have to,
this
though.
movie music's in the
Yeah.
back. I got a candle lit.
Oh, I
That's
love
perfect.
movie soundtracks, and I love
Yeah.
that. I listen to it at the gym sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm
It makes
out.
me feel a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Stranger Things soundtrack, all
Dude,
those
that's cool.
songs
The
are-
first
they're
one's
like
amazing.
trippy, but they're
yeah,
good.
It's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, I'm not.
Oh, I'm not, dude. I'm not judging you.
I'm not
Oh,
that
I-
embarrassed then.
So
That sounds-
what now? So you are an
Yeah.
extremely talented artist.
Well, thank
I've
you.
personally never seen anything like that before, ever. I couldn't believe it was you when the first time I saw it. I refused to.
Yeah, I was just
I
at.
refused to believe.
I was
it was
just at
you.
random arm wrestling in the gym, right?
Yep. I mean, you have to do something with that.
Oh, this is my primary goal now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I am running towards this I have found it. I've literally tried 20 different things in my life between BMX racing, mountain bike racing, big
arm
air
wrestling.
snowboard
Arm wrestling
competitions.
obviously isn't it. So
Arm wrestling is absolutely not it. Okay. Yeah. No, I enjoy it. I will continue to arm wrestle. It's
just a hobby.
It's fun.
But
It's fun.
are you lefty or righty?
Both. It doesn't matter. Pick your
Drawing.
poison.
Drawing.
Oh, drawing. Righty.
What happens when you do something in your right arm though? You got to consider that.
I have actually lately.
That
It's
could be
actually
scary, right? I mean, if you go down that career path, if you realize you can make money, which 100%
I
you
don't even
can,
care about the money. I don't even care about
but
the money.
just 100%. I mean, you could take that and do something with it.
Okay.
And let's just say as a career path,
Right, sure.
financially,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fund you or your career, this and that, whatever. You're gonna be able to step away from arm wrestling because if you do that,
You know what that's called?
what's that?
Fear. Oh, I'm scared I'm going to hurt my right arm. I don't operate that way. If my arm breaks, my arm breaks. It'll
And then
heal,
what?
and then I draw again. Okay? I'm not kidding you. I can't help it.
What if they got to cut your hand off?
There is no what if.
This guy would use the other hand. I mean,
If they cut my hand off, they cut my hand off.
Yeah, he'd use his
my
leg to
right
draw,
foot,
probably.
my right toe.
No, I mean, I'd be disappointed if
Yeah,
I couldn't
sure.
draw for a little bit. You know, I
just
have
curious.
thought that.
Yeah.
I would feel a little disappointed and everything if my arm broke and I couldn't draw, but
Yeah,
it's just an arm.
I don't think it'll happen. You got some decent sized arms. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't look like an arm wrestler.
No.
Nice. So, all right. Well, I want to ask you another question here, real quick, before
Yeah.
we start bringing it home. What people are gonna hear this and they're gonna
Yeah.
be inspired. They're gonna be encouraged. They're gonna be like, wow, goals. Okay. What advice? I'm sure you've told this story, maybe not to this length or detailed a lot. Hopefully, I mean, maybe not. But regardless, what do you tell people when they say, hey, man, I'm having a rough day, or hey, I'm going through something? What advice do you give people? Because, man, you've got a lot of value to add to someone's life.
I would rather have talked about that this whole time.
Yeah.
You know, that's the more valuable thing here.
Well,
Yeah.
and
You know,
we wanted, because your story's
Yeah.
incredible. We
Yeah.
wanted people to understand you weren't just some random guy coming in to say, live your life to the fullest, blah, blah, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you, out of probably 99% of the people we're going to have on the show, have been through it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been like, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone else that we have in mind that we've talked about has actually cheated death and been at that fucking door of time to go home,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you've done it.
Yeah.
And here you are, not only just like cruising by, like, oh, I cheat death, so I'm going to live life, kind of,
No, I've
for fun and just,
Yeah.
hang back. Like, you're fucking doing it now.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I'm focusing on now.
Yeah.
You know, is where do I start here? You know,
If I come up to you in the gym tomorrow, I'm being
Yeah.
like, Aubrey, I can't fucking do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm stressed the fuck out.
I'd be like, you're stressed.
What
I'm
would you
gonna
say?
you're stressed out. You can't do this.
But if it's not the scary RJ that what if I'm just some random dude?
You're like, you're stressed out and you can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, then don't do it. Then don't do it. But I mean, honestly, the fact of the matter is, if I could just somehow tell that whole story in 5 minutes and then talk about how that affected me in a positive way, and how that affected and how people, I don't want to sit here and tell people what they should do. You don't have to do anything. But there's ways that you can view things different. Every day is a gift. There is going to be people tomorrow that don't wake up, and we do. Every single day, there are people tomorrow that won't have a chance to find something, to find their art, to find their whatever it is, to start their business like RJ did, to chase their dreams. And then I don't care what your dream is. If your dream is to be a cashier at Giant Eagle, then go at it. Go get it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a fine art. It doesn't have to be a strength sport. It can be anything that lights your fire, that gives you goosebumps. And the fact of the matter is I've been literally gifted a second chance here. And I am just hitting it every angle. That's why I do anything that interests me. I refuse to say no. My biggest fear is to lay on my deathbed, which will come someday. I can't cheat death forever. It will come for all of us. My biggest fear is to sit there and know that I will never have a chance again to try stuff or do stuff, and to know that I never tried something. I would rather try something and fail miserably and
Then not try at all.
and just know that I tried it. That is my biggest driving. I say no fear generally. I was busting you about that, RJ, but
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I can't get past. So
Well, you have nothing. I mean, you fucking cheated death. I mean,
Right.
what else is there to fear?
You've looked fear in the face,
Yeah.
and now you actually see fear differently than many of us because
Yeah.
you've actually seen fear at its probably.
yeah, it's death.
That's
man,
me.
you know?
Like I live like this lifestyle of live like to the fullest, this and that, but terrified. I hate thinking about death because I'm not ready. Like I got so much shit I want to do. So like for me, like that is my biggest fear is death.
yeah,
Because I know that once that happens, like
yeah,
it's done.
yeah,
Time to clock out. Like
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
any more chances.
yeah.
So like you, it's like you're ahead of the game. Unfortunately, you're ahead of the game.
But
like-
I mean, I have the same fear. It's paralleled. I'm just not afraid of actual death anymore. I've made peace with dying.
right.
You know,
I feel like
But
you have to
the-
when you're
yeah.
in that situation.
the beauty of making peace with death, though, is the end is coming. So you feel like, oh, I still have this drive. I don't want to miss out. But then that's off your plate. It's nice. I mean, I hate to say that, but that fear of death really can add a portion of your brain that could be used for other things that are positive or
Right.
motivational or exploring or inspiring, whatever it is. That's kind of a weird way to look at it, but yeah.
That's
And I
crazy.
mean, in his shoes too. I mean, don't forget the idea of people. A lot of people get cancer,
Yeah.
do their chemo, whatever it is, and they're good, and that's great. I'm glad, and I wish that was the way for everyone. But like, multiple times you had times where they were like, "We don't know what to do. Like this
Oh
is
man,
it."
there were too many of those times.
Yeah,
And I don't know too many people who have been through that like that.
and made mistakes that you wanted to probably kill somebody over because they almost killed you.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was angry, but I tried to be understanding.
That's
It
awesome.
happens.
Yeah.
So
You know
I
what
mean, it's
But-
one thing to get cancer and come back and be cancer free, but to literally cheat death and cheat cancer, in a sense,
Yeah.
and to go through it. I don't know many people, if any, that have been through the ringer like you have with it.
It wasn't my time,
No, and that's
and that's what I told
a
myself.
good way to put it, man.
It wasn't my time. At least in my mind, it wasn't my time. Granted, it could have been, but I wasn't going to think it was. So I don't know. I just hope anyone listening to this can take a breath. All those little things trust me, I stress every day. I get behind a slow driver and I'm like, come on, move your ass along here, But like honestly, like I'll get the tax bill, I'll be like, I don't feel like paying taxes, you know what I mean? I still get stressed out and stuff, but the big picture is like, oh man, there's so much superficial stuff that really, really is not important. Again, like when you're laying on your deathbed, are you gonna worry about, who said what about you? Are you gonna worry about what your hair looks like? Are you gonna worry about the next episode of The Bachelor?
Exactly.
Not that I watched that.
No, and it better not still be on TV.
I
by
don't
the
even
time
know. I'm just joking.
We just lost all our female listeners. I realize that. We'll have to edit that part.
No, I have watched a few seasons of The Bachelor, admittedly, but not alone. It was not my idea. But then I got into it and followed along. So anyway,
It happens.
yeah. So yeah,
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's really about the taking every opportunity you can and creating the opportunities you can in life. I mean, really, I could sit here and be like, I'm a survivor. Poor me. I'm a survivor. Fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
I am a normal person. I had to go through some medical stuff. It's done. And I have a gift now because of it. I have this newfound appreciation for life, this newfound drive, and anyone can do it. You don't have to go through this crazy cancer battle to get this. You can literally change the way you think and just change your mind.
So can you say that you've come out a better person because of it then?
I don't want to say the word better. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still the same person, but I've come out a more wise person.
Wise.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, a much more positive, motivated person.
Yep.
But that's what happens when you are faced with the D card.
Yeah.
It might not be the right word to call it, huh? Yeah, that's a little weird.
The D card.
Oh, sometimes I say things that don't sound right. Oh well, forgive
Every
me.
day of my life.
Yeah.
So
Well, we can edit that part out too, I think.
no, please do.
No.
Thank God.
We'll try to keep it real here.
Good God.
So let me ask you the question we ask everybody
Yeah.
that sits in that seat. When that day actually does come, when the quote unquote D card does
D
come
card
for
gets
you.
pulled.
Oh man, let's stop using that term right now.
No, but seriously, that day comes, like you said, for all of us.
Yeah.
What is the legacy you're leaving that your family's talking about? That your children or whoever, your grandchildren are going to say, "This is what I remember." What is your legacy going to be?
I mean, there's there's multiple layers here, but number one, I want everyone to look back and be like, that dude was true to himself, and that dude was real. That dude tried everything he could, and that is inspiring as hell. He fought through this. He tried this. He failed. He tried. He failed. He tried. He failed, and eventually, he didn't fail.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's when that's going to happen, but eventually. I also my other legacy would be that you don't ever quit if you still have breath in your lungs at chasing your dream, whatever that dream is, and that's what I would like to be remembered for somewhat, that he kept rocking as long as he could, even though maybe he was a little crazy at times about it. And I just want to be a good person too, humble. I want people to say that guy was humble and just a good man.
Yeah.
And so the legacy really is just an overarching inspiration for anyone to open your eyes to the life you have been given. It's absolutely sheer luck that we are alive. We are a bunch of molecules put together into 70 trillion communicating cells. I mean, it's like just being born in this body is and having a consciousness inside a body is literally like winning 1,000 Powerballs. It's so rare to have all these elements from the periodic table somehow magically combining to produce these human beings with consciousness. And we have the chance to chase dreams. That's so powerful. So my legacy would be to inspire others to do that no matter what they're facing. Man. Yeah.
You've inspired me. Obviously, you've inspired this guy over here because you are.
No, I don't think
Man.
he understands. And I mean, to get real for a second, I mean, hearing your story, I can never hear it enough. And I've talked to him about shit. I wanted you to write a book.
I wrote it.
Oh yeah, he wrote a book.
I wrote it.
Years ago, I was like, listen, I'll sponsor your book. We'll put it out. Iron Empire, we'll publish it. He wrote a book. We got busy. Nothing ever happened. We talked about doing public speaking together.
I'm game, man.
So
I'm game with that. That'd be great.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, you got to share your story, man. It's good. It's really good. Well, we're honored that
Someday
you'll look back and be like, yeah, we had that guy on our podcast once.
Right.
I hope so.
Right.
I hope so.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing, man. I'm super inspired by your story, your mindset, your outlook, your perspective. It's awesome. And I'm glad that you're still here, man, because you got a lot more people, I think, left to inspire. So
I hope so. I hope this is
just
the beginning.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, it is, man.
Yeah, your legacy is just starting, man.
I hope so.
Thanks for sharing that with us today.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so again, Aubrey Reese, you can check out his Instagram art. It's amazing. I'll put the links in the show notes. Anywhere else people can find you, like any of the other social medias or website or anything else?
Well, I'm not in it for the money. I've literally just am starting off on this, so I don't have these big old platforms built to try and become famous and rich off of it. So I have Instagram and I have Facebook, and I'm Aub Ross.
I love it.
After my hero Bob Ross.
Got it.
Okay, so AUB Ross ROSS.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's Instagram and Facebook. I got a page on each, and that's it.
Cool. Well, we'll put them there so people can find you because you've got a lot of cool stuff on there. I've looked at it.
Well, we're just getting started. That thing's about to fill up. So
nice.
Real excited.
Hopefully with my face soon enough.
Hey, I told you to send me a picture.
I want to see that.
I'll draw that mug.
Yeah.
Intricate detail.
Oh, man.
Well, for my co-host, RJ Messenger, I'm Chris Norris. Leave Your Legacy podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.